Just looking at these amazing fortifications. You've got the bank there coming down, back up and back down. And it's really, the scale of it, the height is really impressive, and of course overgrown by trees. No one can see anything, and
no, I couldn't even find it.
A crying shame.
It is a crying shame, isn't it? Hello, I'm Ross from Britain's Hidden History, and today we're in Caerleon, but not to see the Italian sites that the Welsh government spends millions promoting and all the Roman stuff. We're going to see the British fort, which is up the hill and is said to be the legendary, not legendary, the historical place of King Arthur II. So we're doing more Britain's Hidden History. Right, so it's quite a group of us together, and there's a public footpath, so there you go. Up Lodge Hill is the key names. So we've only been about 100 yards, not even 100 yards. What's the, this is one of the banks?
Yeah, that's the one. Bob was just explained, Bob.
Yeah, no, that's what, there's one bank there, and there's another bank just by here.
Wow, so the big old bank there then.
Bank and ditch.
Yeah.
Bank and ditch, yeah, but it's a proper bank, isn't it? It's not
Fence
just
on the top.
6 footer.
And I reckon there's something else about them that nobody's really noticed, but I believe they were planted in front of their fence. They were planted blackthorn.
Right.
Because blackthorn is impassable.
Yeah,
you can't do anything with blackthorn. Even if you burn it, you can't walk through it. And if it does scag you, a bit of blackthorn, it goes septic.
Right, alright, so watch out for that.
Yeah. So I think
use nature, isn't it? Nature's part of defence, yeah.
In folklore, blackthorn is the tree of no choice.
The tree of no choice.
And the hardest wood we got. It's like,
yeah, if you do come up here, there's just the one path winding its way around and up the fort. In the summer you've got these amazing ferns, but you could probably see more in the winter, and we will be making a return visit. You really can't get lost up here.
It's wonderful, it's such an exciting walk through, it's like a fairyland.
They were very high.
Right, so something that's being pointed out, we're trying to work out is how many rings and banks. So if you look at the works of our Wilson and Blackett, when they talk about this, they talk about it being a 5-ringed fort, which shows this royal. Most hill forts might have 2 or 3. This one has 5, so we're trying to work out where they are. Put the LiDAR information so you can get an overhead view when you can quite clearly see them. That's a kind of smaller bank. It's one of the ditches here. So it is still visible, overgrown and rapidly disappearing. So this would be a ditch, some sort of rampart, and then you've got a much bigger one here. And if you look in this part, you can see there, you can actually see there, that's where the ditch would be, and then another bank. And as Richard was pointing out there, not only do you have stakes, you fill the thing with like hawthorn, which is nasty, spiky stuff, very hard to get through. Getting up here would be really, really difficult, and you'd sort of be forced to go round and round and follow the path, really. It would be hard to just fight your way up there. And as far as we know, it's never taken or anything, and this would seem to be the edge of the British-Welsh border, the Esloig, or the Silures, as the Romans call them. And you can see down the bottom of the hill, hopefully we get a better view from the top, you can actually see where the Roman parts are, in the amphitheatre and all that kind of stuff. So it seems very much like a frontier. That's the theory behind it. Hang on, so we're looking at the 5 ditches now, yeah, because I was just talking about that.
Yeah, well, it's quite.
So this is the old map, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll try and put this up separately because it's quite hard to see on the camera. Yeah. Oh no, there we go. Yeah, we can see it now. So here's the camp. So you can count the ditches come up the side. It seems like 5 that way. Let's look very quickly at it. My finger appears on the screen somewhere.
Yeah, I've counted 4 that way, and, yeah, and 5 if you count that odd bit of. I'm not quite certain what that is.
Right.
It's definitely a far more, like Bob said, it's far more sophisticated than it first appears. It's a very
you kind of get forced round and round, don't you, rather than
I think
can't come straight up.
One of the major differences, if you think of all the big hill forts, you know, like well,
the way down Recyson and Cork and stuff,
Cadbury, or all the ones down in Dorset and things, Dorset Rings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
they've got all the rings around the outside, and in the centre, it's all just one flat area. What you got here is quite strange. It's not that usual. You actually got a small little fort area there within the bigger area, which is why I think this is where it comes back down to why Wilson Blackett are saying it's you know, significant, because you wouldn't get that normally. You once you've got your outer rings.
What's it called on that?
Inside.
Nah.
It's called Lodgewood in Camp.
Because someone told me that there's an earlier map that calls it Bellin Stockade.
Yeah, Bellinstock.
Bellinstock, yeah.
Interesting. I wonder what that's about.
Which must refer to Brutus and Bran and that bunch. Yeah.
Look at it over there, Rob.
Massive ditch behind there again.
Oh, there's another ditch when you go up there.
Let's get up on the top.
It's more than that one.
So go up, do we keep following this path, or do we have to climb up a ridge at some point?
If we follow this one, we come to the entrance.
Yes. Let's do the proper entrance then. It's the way we are intended.
A lot better than I do.
Right, this is the way in. It's fantastic. It's like a sort of this is welcome to Rivendell.
Welcome to Rivendell.
Well, this is it, isn't it? You know.
What's this?
Well, minus Tirith in former glories, but it's definitely a woodland realm now, isn't it? And you can see how high Bob is up there. He's picking him out amongst the trees, and his wonderful dog Blaze. So that's where we're going to go. Not a big climb, easy enough.
Just looking at these amazing fortifications. You've got the bank there coming down, back up and back down. It's really, the scale of it, the height is really impressive, and of course overgrown by trees. No one can see anything, and
no, I couldn't even find it.
A crying shame.
It is a crying shame, isn't it?
And you got all that lovely Roman stuff down there, all the visitors, and no one's coming up here to see the Arthurian, the possible Arthurian fort, the only place where Arthur could have seen the Malpass.
Yeah, and as we'll see from the top, I think you can probably see the Severn, and you kept a watchful eye on the Roman camp. Yeah. That would have seemed to be nothing much more than an outpost, really, just a trading point on the Severn, isn't it? Look at the scale of this. It really is an impressive. Well, it's definitely a fort, whatever kind of fort.
And the size and age on these trees, basically saying that you know, it's just been left.
Yeah.
For centuries, you know.
Tragic, isn't it? Oh no, it's a very mature old wood now, isn't it? And on the old maps you can see it there as Lodge Wood or Lodge Hill Wood. Depends on the map. Right, let's go up to the top, see what the views are.
Yeah.
Right, it's cleared out a bit.
The main entrance coming in from up the ridge, and then through the various rings into the gateway into the centre.
Oh, and it carries on going up.
Now, this is the bit which I think is quite interesting, is because in a normal hill fort, once you got to this point, everything inside would be just on one central level. But what you've got here is you've got like another little enclosure within the hill fort.
Right. Well, any ideas what that might be, or?
Well, I think this is where Alan Wilson and Barham are thinking that it denotes that it's high status. Yeah. Because you've got that little enclave within the bigger enclave.
Yeah, so
you've got Citadel type thing.
Yeah. You've got a hall or a major building there, or the Lord's Hall.
It strikes me as an excellent place to keep an eye on Caerleon and the crossings and the trade on the Severn. It's not
just Caerleon. If you clear these trees, you can see the River Usk coming up from the Severn, But not only that, there's a fort to the south, 6 kilometres away, the Gare, It's a huge Iron Age fort, There's a ridgeway connecting this fort and that fort, So there's an ancient road going across there, and then behind us, up in the west, there's Tumbalum.
Of course.
And that's 6 kilometres from this site, and it's 6 kilometres from the Gare. So you've got this triangle of forts, yeah? On Tumbalum, you can see the West Country. You can see the whole of the Severn Estuary. You stick a man on Tumbalum, yeah, with good eyesight, and he can tell this fort and the Gare and the other minor forts either side of it, yeah, exactly what's coming up the Severn.
And the message can be passed all along across South Wales,
and
then, isn't it?
a good day before they get you. You know, so I'm not sure exactly the history of Tumbalum. As far as I'm concerned, it's a henge that developed into a viewing site and all sorts of Bronze Age burial mounds, you know. I don't think it was ever an Iron Age fort. If it was huge. It's absolutely huge, you know. But more than anything else, I think it's a place where you can see 7 counties from there. You know, you can see Cardiff, you can see Avon, you can see Somerset, you can see all the way down to Minehead, you know, you can see across to Glastonbury, you can see Glastonbury Tor.
So this is up the top, this is what some sort of citadel or the central final place, whatever it was, for some reason. This is like the final enclosure, this bit, isn't it? This is the final enclosure within the enclosure within the enclosure.
At a university.
Yes.
Yes, and they had an archaeological department.
Yes, in sight of Lodge Hill, yes, the irony was amazing, yes.
And when they were developing part of the campus, yeah, they uncovered a Roman burial, what they thought was a Roman burial. Now they knew there was a Roman road going through the campus, coming up here. Yeah, Bob referred to it as a bridle path. Yeah, but down there it was a Roman road, probably an early British one that was developed by the Romans. Now they dug up this grave, and it was buried in the traditional Roman sense. Yeah, and this is first century burial of a Roman soldier, and this Roman soldier is a captain. Okay, yeah? So he's already been promoted in the Roman army, yeah. So they do that testing when they cut their teeth and they find out where they grew up.
Oh, where they've been eating? Oh, yeah.
That's
what it's called now. RD or something.
Yeah. And this guy grew up in between Caerleon and Caerleon. Yeah. But the interesting thing is, this is first century, so the Romans haven't been here very long.
No, not at all.
And this is a local boy who'd moved up in the Roman ranks immediately.
If he was Roman at all, of course.
So he wasn't Roman. He was a local boy, but he'd obviously been put in the Roman army, or the Romans had promoted him into the Roman army. Probably something to do with the deal they had with the Cyrus.
If he was a Roman fort at all. What's this one? 1883.
1883 one that's map. And when you look at it, that to me looks very much almost like a Troy maze.
Yes.
The way it's portrayed on there.
Yes.
Yes, very good call.
Yes. And that's what I was talking about, those.
Because the Troy maze is also covered in the Trojan Wars book.
Like the bridges going over the ditches.
Yes.
It was like on that ditch coming up on the far ditch on that side. You come up through it, and every so often there's like a buttress, as if there was like an arch over it or
sort
something.
Of entrance or something.
Yeah, like another gate. Like there was a series of
defensive
gates
points
to come up the road.
The Romans about 70s come around.
So they came in there, and then they occupied it to around about 290, and then they decamped from here and moved to Cardiff. And when they did that, they tore down the whole Roman thing and took all the stone away and down to Cardiff to build their new fortress down there.
They left an awful lot of stone. Because all the old buildings in Cwmbran, Newport, the whole area, everywhere, you walk up to them and you can see all this Roman cut sandstone. It's all the same size, it's like that, and there's tons of it.
Yeah, but it's documented by the Romans that they took it away.
Yeah, well they didn't take nothing today.
Well, no, but that's not Roman, you see, this is the point. British military could cut stone.
Yeah, no, and that's the other thing. So, you know, there probably was nothing there at Caerleon at the time that they arrived, because it would have been up here, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is a strategic point, and that place you showed on the corner of the river.
And the port would have been where you're saying.
Yeah, because the Roman part's not actually in Caerleon, is it? This is the myth about it. It's on the edge
think
now.
the other side of the river is another.
What means Caerleon, as you say, is further up here, isn't it? This is where the
The
ancient...
Mabinogi stuff is quite interesting. I find about Caerleon, and I'm pretty sure the Mabinogi was written in Caerleon Abbey, which is Llantarnam Abbey.
Right.
It was called Caerleon Abbey until about 1400, and then they changed it to Llantarnam, right? The Mabinogi mentions Caerleon more than anywhere else in the world. It just talks about Caerleon all of the time. And the first story of the Mabinogi starts in West Wales, Pylch, Prince of Dyfed, is it?
Yep.
And then it jumps from West Wales to Gwent Ysgoed with Terenon. Yeah?
Not the one he does the switch with.
Yeah, and the baby, and the Terenon lives in Gwent Ysgoed, and he is considered the best man in the world. So I suspect they're talking about an early Christian. Yeah. Now, Terenon is mentioned in the land deal between Hywel, Lord of Caerleon, and the Cistercian monks when they settle in Llantarnam Abbey or Caerleon Abbey. And Hywel says you can have the land where the white monks live. So there's already monks living there. Yeah. Now we're at 1179 now. Yeah? You can have the land where the white monks live, that we call Ynys Nant Terenon, which has been translated as the island vale of Terenon. Now this is Terenon of the Mabinogion.
It does seem to tie in, doesn't it?
Yeah. And the farm next to the abbey is called Tyisach. Yeah, the house below. And Gwent Ysgoed is below the forest. Yeah. Now, Ynys Nant Terenon means an island vale, so you would expect it to be an island. Yeah. Well, it is, because you've got the Dowlas Brook coming in one side, which is the main waterway coming off the mountain. Yeah. And it goes down the side of the abbey, and behind the abbey comes in the Abbey Clwyd, and they meet where the abbey is built. Yeah, so you haven't quite got an island, but you've certainly got a meeting of waters.
Very similar to what we had in Cardiff, isn't it? With
and then other things in the Mabinogi, you know, when Arthur holds his court in Caerleon and the 13 churches of Caerleon all sing at the same time. Well, there can't be 13 churches in that little square of stone down there. Yeah. But what you do find is in Cwmbran, and every tide map you look at, there's churches everywhere. You know, and some of them you can easily see from the conglomerate quartz which the early British Church used to do their foundations down, are dotted around the valley there. You can find them, you can find the old churches, you find a modern church, right, and right by the modern church there's tons of conglomerate quartz which comes up from the side of the mountain. It can't possibly get down there by natural means, it's been put there. You know?
It's a bit frustrating, we can't see the massive views to all the trees, but you can definitely see...
There, I think you can.
But oh, well, for the views over there, we can definitely see there's another ditch and ramparts. This is a serious spot, isn't it?
This is this land down here is called the park.
The park.
The park, which normally means that it's a royal hunting ground.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Yes. Right, so here we are. We're actually right on the top now. This way towards the Citadel area, and you can see here. This is the pathway coming in. It's very evocative. You can imagine coming in on their horses and coming through the main area, because you've got ring after ring after ring, or banks, to try and get up, and you really have to go back and forth. And as Bob pointed out earlier, it does remind you a little bit of those Troy mazes we talk about that the Welsh shepherds still do. You have to kind of zigzag your way in, so it's quite spectacular. I'm going to come back in the winter when you actually be able to see the views, because with everything in full leaf, it's very difficult to see what's going on, but you really get a sense of the size of this thing. Yeah, I mean, it does feel almost stone. I mean, there's a lot of stone in it, isn't it? It does feel like it's actually a proper path, doesn't it?
Well, it says in the archaeological report it was cobbled. The roads were cobbled.
So I've seen that, in reading that, the book you put me onto, In Search of the Silurians, it mentions they're paved paved
area.
roads, cobbled. They call them areas. They don't call them roads. They avoid the word road, but
But the same guy who wrote that book has dug what are called Roman roads in this area and gone through the Roman and discovered older British roads that the Romans had built on top of.
Yeah.
The road, you can't have logistics, you can't trade, you can't take
wheeled
stuff.
vehicles as well, isn't it?
You can't take stuff from the interior to the exterior and stick it on a boat unless you've got a road.
No, you must have some way to do it.
You can't trade. You have
and
to
also
have
the
a road
archaeology-
system.
The archaeology shows that they keep finding loads and loads of bits of what looks like wheeled transport.
Yes.
Not just chariots, other things, wagons and carts.
Yes, of course.
And you wouldn't go to trouble building all that without putting a road.
And doesn't it say in the Chronicles of the Kings of Britain that Balin and Bran built roads across Britain?
I'm pretty sure it does, yes.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it tells you that roads were built by them. One of the first things they done when they turned up was built roads.
Yeah, let's get my trusty Trojan War fractured history out and have a good look.
Have a look.
Because he lists all the kings in there and what they all did, who brought in corn, who brought in farming and storage of food, and roads is definitely on the list. You're right.
They definitely. You can't have a society without a road.
Also, my son,
It's obvious.
my son, 11 years old, I was talking, we are discussing.
This is how
He
ridiculous.
said,
it
why
gets.
would you bother building wheeled vehicles if you haven't got a road?
This is
You
how
haven't got a road.
ridiculous it gets, right?
I think there's some respect for British history here, look. Just blocking our way and stuck up here is this ugly thing giving off a horrible sort of noise. Electricity substation, here we are. It's obviously got to go here, isn't it? Right where you think the blinking Welsh capital used to be, perhaps. And there's some sort of transmitter or something up there. Isn't that lovely up here, Ruth, isn't it? Isn't that nice? Electricity, apparently, substation. Sure.
Wouldn't have to put it on one of the ditches.
They did that to it on one of the ramparts of a historical castle, do they?
Possibly not, I'll give you that.
One of the most famous Arthur's castle, possible capital of ancient Britain, and they smacked it right on there. I don't think. Yeah, so nearest thing we got to view here is they've cleared this area for that electricity substation and whatever this is. And if you look through the gap in the trees, there you see the brown lands. If you look at your Middle Earth maps, you look for brown lands, there's the brown lands. And it's the River Usk. You can all muddy, you get the same thing at the Severn, very, very tidal here. As you probably know, the Severn is the second highest tidal up and down in the world, the other one being Rio de Janeiro. So this is the views we're talking about, and on the other side behind me, where unfortunately the trees are blocking it and I have to come back again in the winter, is where that famous Arthur reference with King Arthur is looking across at Malpas. And that's the other side, which could not get a good view of it. But the river bends there, you might not be able to see on the camera, it comes down and bends around. So this would be a really commanding spot here. And if you can just see through the gap, you can see the river going back up that way again. It kind of comes around and forks back out. So you couldn't race past, there's a steep corner, so you're really controlling the trade here. All the physical evidence would suggest that that's as far as the Romans are going, is their little, not actually in Caerleon even, just outside Caerleon, in Isca Silurum, they got some sort of trading port, and a very close eye is kept up on them, and the rivers and all the key routes are then guarded from there. Right, so winding behind me you can see the River Usk and coming back down to Lodge Hill, the road. Just look for Lodge Hill on your maps. I say it's a very easy walk. It's you're more or less 3/4 of the way up already, because this housing estate was intruding rapidly onto this tremendously important ancient historical site. Now, when back in the 1980s, the planning permission was given for the houses to go all the way over the top, right over this, and this would be gone forever. That's the 80s. It's not that long ago, okay? This was going forever. And there's only protests, very prominently, people like Wilson and Blackett saying this is an important historical site. This is a great royal hill fort. It could be the site of King Arthur, it could be whatever it is. This goes right back in history, pre-Roman probably, and is the key strategic spot. Not the dock down by the river that the Romans used to try and ship their goods in and out. This is what controls the area. You can't go in the river, you're permanently being watched, and this is the key site. And it's only by people like us being aware and campaigning and making sure that we don't lose all our history that it's still here today. So we need to do it for future generations as well, and make sure they've got some history to see. And although it might be Britain's hidden history, it isn't yet destroyed history. Okay? Anyway, that's me rant over. Till the next time, hello.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it enjoyable and informative. There's so much more going on with the channel, such as live feeds and interviews. We're also working as part of Britain's Hidden History to reprint books, produce new books, and generally try and bring more awareness of British history that just isn't taught in the British schools anymore. It used to be history as it was taught, but it's fast disappearing, and so are the sites. Also got how to read hieroglyphics using the ancient language of Cymraeg or Welsh, and you really will be amazed. So check out the Facebook group, the website, get involved, and please, we do need help to keep this project going. So if you could pop by the Patreon site, become a supporter, just drop a couple of quid a month in, that'd be fantastic. Or why not go to cymraglyphics.com and buy some of the books. So until the next time, thank you, and heddwch.